And Clayton, I'm going to go ahead and give the reins over to you.
Okay, so today we want to talk hospital indemnity, obviously. So I just kind of wanted to highlight quickly what our top recommendations are as of today. I'm saying as of today because a later slide I'll tell you why. So our top recommendations being GTL, Aetna, Wellabe or Medico, you might know more as what Medico, and Heartland. We're going to break down each product a little bit more specifically. Today we'll try to get into the weeds a little bit more than like Sadie was talking about with the other webinars where we might mention a carrier. We'll talk pros, we'll talk cons, kind of go into each carrier. And something that I love that we did the last time was if you want to go back and watch the recording, there'll be timestamps of each carrier. So if you need to go back and learn more about each carrier, check that out. But also we'll have plenty of videos on our SMSU page talking about at least a handful of these. So with that being said, I'll switch this and I'm terrified, but here we go. It worked. I was so nervous. So first up is a long-standing kind of top recommendation that we have for GTL. And I just want to throw that out because we've been recommending GTL as our top recommendation for hospital indemnity for quite a while. And there's multiple reasons about that. So actually here, let me flip back real quick. Before we do that, I'll kind of tell you the categories of where these fall into of why I recommend each one. GTL is our long-standing, reliable partner, great in the ancillary world. Kind of any of the ancillary products out there, they're going to be, if not the top option, one of the top three. Aetna has the big brand name recognition that I know a lot of clients and agents love. It's a very simple process. Wellabe being one of our more affordable options on the hospital indemnity world. And then Heartland is very similar, which you'll see to GTL, but pays a little higher on the commission side, a little more expensive. We'll get into that, but that's kind of where these fall into. So going into GTL, the issue ages on this product are 40 to 85, which is really nice for a hospital indemnity product.
For sure.
Going down to age 40 is important to note because a lot of people don't think about their ACA clients who could also benefit from having a hospital indemnity plan.
Absolutely.
They don't match up as perfectly with these plans being designed for a Medicare Advantage plan to kind of have that partnership. However, people still go to the hospital. People still need that extra money, especially ACA folks. They might still be working, so they might have to take time off to take those days off. So it's worthwhile looking at. And just like other products, cancer products specifically, it's issue age. So if you get it at age 40, you're paying an age 40 rate. And that could tremendously save some person some money when they're leaning into going into an MA plan.
Absolutely.
However, we don't know what all that will look like 20 years down the line, but that's something we can readjust after that time. Now getting into guaranteed issue window. This is an important section of all of these different carriers. So definitely take note of the guaranteed issue window here being 64.5 to 68 years old. This was a nice change that they added on last year, I think it was, or maybe it's 2 years ago.
2 years ago, I think, is when this came out.
Was the big hospital indemnity boom.
Yes.
Everybody was changing stuff.
Yes.
So GTL shifted to this, extended their GI window, which we love to see, getting all of the people that you might have missed as they turn 65 onto a guaranteed issue hospital indemnity plan. Takes a lot of the headache out. Underwriting's not super difficult with these. However, we all know a GI product is one of our favorite things to do.
Oh, yeah.
Now, just kind of a basics on hospital indemnity here, we'll go into the benefit days. So with most products, you're able to select how many days that you want to receive the indemnity payout for. How much benefit amount do you want and how many days do you want to do that with? So the benefit days, this is where you match it up perfectly with their MA plan, or maybe throw an extra day on there. But let's just say their MA plan saying that on days 1 through 6, you have a $300 copay that you have to pay. So on the benefit days, you'll pick the 6 days, and the benefit amount, you pick $600. Whatever that amount might be, I'm just throwing out numbers. But this is a really nice plan where you can look at the different benefit amounts and make it customized perfectly to it, because GTL is amazingly customizable.
For sure.
$10 increments, like you can get real specific with the budget if that's what you're working with, or you can match it up perfectly with their plan.
Yeah, whenever I was making this slide, I thought that $10 increments was a typo. Whenever I
Yeah, like
was looking
100?
at,
You
yeah,
mean
because
100
I was like, surely
like?
it's not 10, but I double checked and it was 10.
Yeah, so
So,
it can look a little overwhelming, but that's why it's so nice to be able to say, somebody tells you, if you can get this under $25 for me, let's talk about it. And you can kind of go through and get those exact increments to make it work.
absolutely.
I will throw out here too, as we're kicking off this whole thing, is looking at what to be quoting somebody on there. My first recommendation is just fill the gaps, match it up with their MA plan. However, there is some interesting tactics or techniques to go around that and say, do their base. So let's say they have a 5-day copay, add a 6th day. Just because if they're in that 6th day, all of that extra is just anything else they need after their hospital stay. Because typically, as you know, you don't just leave the hospital and say, okay, we're all good now,
Right.
all healthy,
Mhm.
right? There's usually some at-home care if it's not medicine, or let's just say you had some kind of surgery and need to get an extra couple things for the house. So
Mhm.
like a shower chair or
Sure.
something like that.
Yeah.
Here's some extra money to go about that. Also, a good way to look at it is the days might not match up perfectly. So you go, let's say 500 or yeah, $500, 5 days. And then you're like, okay, well, that goes towards my MOOP. So here we are. And then I have this much extra for my MOOP. So you can try to start matching it up where it get closer to that MOOP, just because we know all the extra stuff that's going to go along with that hospital stay.
Mhm.
But this is all about just getting extra money into your client's hand and taking care of the gaps that their plan leaves behind.
Absolutely.
Can be beneficial for even folks on a med sup plan with that day one benefit of, if you want just one day, if I go to the hospital, pay me up to $2,500. That's just going to help take care of any extra bills. And that's more so something I would look at with like those ACA folks as well.
Yeah.
Of just like, okay, let's just get you a big lump sum of money if you have to go to the hospital one time.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely not something that you'll see a ton people
Right.
really wanting to add this, but a lot of times whenever we talk hospital indemnity, people only think Medicare Advantage, and there are folks out there with Medicare supplements where a hospital indemnity plan, especially something so customizable like GTL, can be a really good fit for their needs.
Yeah, something that a lot of our agents talk about is the 4 key coverages, being a final expense, a cancer plan, hospital stays, and like a long-term care option. That's kind of the main 4 areas that lead people to either financial devastation or financial hardships. So just making sure that everybody knows about these plans and has an option to take care of it is what's going to be most important with this. Say it all the time with cancer insurance, but with hospital indemnity, it's the same exact thing is, hey, we don't have to have insurance for everything, but we do have to have a plan.
Yeah.
This is an option to have a plan for that.
For sure.
Okay, so let's get into more of these details here. They have what's called short duration on their plan. So that's where you're discharged between 6 and 24 hours. So you're just in the hospital for a few hours and get sent away. It's more so observation care is what everybody sees it as. GTL will still pay you out that dollar or that benefit amount you picked for that day if you're only in there for 6 hours.
Awesome. Yeah, and that's great because original Medicare doesn't pay for observation care, correct?
Correct.
So yeah, and those Medicare supplement clients, they also aren't getting that observation care paid for. So that's
why
great benefit.
well, we like that 1-day option.
Yes.
Is to help cover stuff exactly like that.
Yeah.
Now, looking at these different options on here, they have this ER benefit built in here. It's $150 they'll pay you if you have to go to the ER. That's real simple to explain to a client. Here you go. Here's an extra $150 if you have to start in the ER and maybe you end up having to get admitted to the hospital. Urgent care, same way. All these plans are really nice to help take care of extra things that are going on in your life. Urgent care being kind of one of those prerequisites. They might send you and say, hey, maybe you need to go to the ER, go to the hospital, and then you get admitted. But these are just extra things so people don't hesitate on getting the care that they need.
Right.
Having this additional money, hospital indemnity is all about just let's get you additional money for a base premium.
Yeah, exactly.
And then really cool thing on GTL's plan that's not on everybody's is this mental health benefit. So let's say you have to admit yourself for a mental illness. They have an option to help pay you some money out per day for that as well, which is just a nice security thing. A lot of agents don't necessarily bring it up, but if a situation arises, they can let their clients know, hey, we're actually going to be able to help take care of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's something more so we hear is on the claim side of somebody asking about it afterwards, saying, hey, you know, I got my mother or whoever got admitted to a mental hospital. They're going to be there for a couple weeks. Do they have anything in place to help take care of that?
Yeah.
That's when you can kind of be the knight in shining armor a little bit and say, hey, you know what, this hospital indemnity plan does take care of some of that. So
which most don't, correct?
Right, exactly. Yeah. And GTL, being the ancillary wizards they are, they've got a ton of different riders. We only highlighted 4 on each of these carriers. There's a lot more out there, but y'all be here with me for like 3 hours and be very, very bored by the end of it. So I just want to talk about the ones that we see added the most and the ones that I personally feel are most beneficial based off price, usability. Is that a word?
Sure.
Make it one.
Yeah.
And just kind of looking at holistically if this coverage makes sense for them. So the ambulance rider is basically a slam dunk. I say add it onto every single plan because you can add about $200 of ambulance coverage for less than $2 extra premium.
Mm-hmm.
No one's going to say no to, unless they set you that budget, they're going to say, oh, it's $21 versus $23.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to care.
And that can make such a huge difference. It's such a small difference month by month, but it can make such a huge difference in the sense of, you know, like in the time of an emergency, because we talk, like you hear like those jokes all the time about like in America where people are like, oh, I'll have my wife drive me, or like, oh, I'll take an Uber or something like that. Like people avoid ambulances like the plague because they cost so much. So showing them that that's something that they don't have to worry about if they're in a situation where they need an ambulance. They don't have to worry about the cost of that because they're only adding a couple bucks a month.
Right. And that's another thing where you're going through a summary of benefits on the MA side. Look through, find how much it cost them for an ambulance, and go ahead and add that mentally into your quote, saying, okay, they've got a $250 copay if they have to use an ambulance. I'm going to add a $250 ambulance rider, and we can take it off if we need to.
Yeah.
But this one's so cheap. It's such an affordable, great option for a client. Please at least quote it as the base plan. You know, we always talk about have the base, the good, better, best. The base plan, I think, includes an ambulance rider. Everything after this, though, is going to be kind of the let's go to the better. And that would be looking at like an outpatient therapy option. This is super important, especially with our elderly clients who end up going to like skilled nursing, need to get a little extra attention after like a knee replacement or a hip replacement. So looking at options that could help take care of the physical therapy that they're going to need after something like this is a very important aspect. A lot of the carriers have something like this, but that's one of my favorites because it can take care of yet another aspect that people aren't thinking about. You're like, okay, I'm going to go to the hospital, be admitted for a few days, my knee surgery, probably have to go do skilled nursing for a week or something. But then what? Your knee's not fine, your hip's not fine. Getting that therapy is going to be that additional thing just to help make sure that their quality of life returns the best it possibly can.
Absolutely.
I got a question here. Let's see.
Probably better chance of using the surgery center benefit, colonoscopy, etc., than those listed? Question mark, question
mark. So the surgery center, that is another one they have. A lot of the carriers do have that, the outpatient surgery. Because more and more surgeries are being sent to those, I'm going to butcher this word, help me out, ambulatory?
Ambulatory?
I think that's what those are called.
Yeah.
Those outpatient surgery places. I was trying to sound smart and it sounded worse because I didn't know what the word was. I don't know, few words do trick.
Few words do trick, for sure.
But taking it to one of those outpatient surgeries is a very popular option for hospitals, and more, I would say, minor surgeries are being sent that way.
Yeah.
That's another affordable rider that's on most of these plans, so it's a really good point. Just put outpatient therapy since it's a little bit different versus one that's a little bit more standard on all these plans. Would suggest too going to our different videos on SMSU, like I mentioned, going through as we go more line by line through everything. And also the brochures on all of these are amazing to show a client exactly what kind of coverages are open and offered to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, It wouldn't be a webinar if I didn't mention cancer insurance 8,000 times. So I think we're about 7,000 at this point. But GTL has an amazing cancer rider added onto their policy. And I say rider because that's how it's listed. But really, I want you to think of the cancer rider as a separate plan. Now, it's one plan still, it's one application. If they cancel one, they cancel both. But this is not your few dollars a month add-on. This is a whole other policy built into this one policy for them. And if you haven't heard much about GTL's cancer plan, check out our product showcase talking more about that, as they've got two separate plans, and this is more of their heart attack and stroke style plan, or their cancer, heart attack, and stroke, which means it has a reoccurrence benefit option built into it. So you can add that on there. It's only a couple dollars to add the reoccurrence benefit to your cancer rider. But I definitely just want to make sure that we're not portraying this as just like, oh, it's just another add-on. It's just another few bucks. This one will be almost the cost of another cancer policy. But you get a good hospital indemnity, you get a good cancer plan. You're still looking around that, I don't want to go too low or too high. I would say anywhere from $50 to $70 for the two plans put together. Generally speaking, with hospital indemnity, you get about $20 to $50 is going to get you great coverage. So being able to play around with that. The cancer rider is fantastic. I would at least talk about that option like we've always discussed before.
And sometimes people, sorry, I just want to jump in really quick, but sometimes people, we get a lot of questions, why would you not just write a separate policy, or why would you write this with a hospital indemnity rather than doing, because there is the risk that if you cancel the hospital indemnity plan, then you're going to also cancel the cancer aspect of it too. And this is one of those examples where sometimes the products that you offer, sometimes the thing that you offer also has a lot to do with the process of being able to do it as well. And this is a really good solution there. If you are someone who wants to make sure that you're taking care of cancer insurance, and you're also writing a lot of Medicare Advantage plans, and so you're writing a lot of hospital indemnity plans, this can be a really good option for you on the back end, and also for them. They just have to worry about like one sort of ish plan. They know that it's all together. It's through GTL. They have all their extra stuff taken care of. So sometimes it comes down to the ease of things, and this is a really good example of that. For sure. Someone who wants that coverage just wants it to be as easy as possible.
And that's a super good point, because it made me think also, before we had the Medicare Center scope of appointment, how are we going to talk about cancer insurance during this? Compliantly, you're talking about hospital indemnity. This is a rider option that's built into that.
That's
So if you're not using Medicare Center scope appointment, which I suggest you do, check out that webinar on why. Definitely recording on the YouTube. Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
But the cancer benefit just is another way to be able to talk about it compliantly during that. And if they choose not to go that route, you can always follow up with it later on another appointment. They're like, well, I'm not too sure about that one. I totally understand. Let's get this hospital plan taken care of. And again, it's just talking about it, making sure people know hospital indemnity is an option for them, cancer is an option for them, whatever the case might be. So skilled nursing, I kind of discussed skilled nursing a little bit there, is just another option to help take care of some of the gaps in coverage. Hospital indemnity plans, yet again, I'm just going to say it one more time, probably not one more time, probably 8 more times at least, is just let's fill the gaps that these MA plans leave behind. We all know that the $0 premiums are called $0 premiums because they are not free. That there is cost that's going to be associated with that. Looking at all the different areas of risk for them, and being able to know that if you offer them every single rider, you can take care of every single gap they got. They're going to be paying a pretty good premium, but you can take care of that. So it's just identifying the problem issues that somebody sees, or that you see your clients see, so you can make that really good advisor recommendation of which riders and which options to take.
Absolutely. You'll see skilled nursing on a lot of these different rider sections. It's an awesome option just because we all know that Medicare Advantage plans don't necessarily have, aren't stars of the show whenever it comes to skilled nursing on there. But so really great option for that. Also, what was another really great thing about GTL that's just like kind of side point, but still important, is the application is crazy easy. Super, super easy. It also is something where you can go on there and you can use it as a tool, or maybe it's a separate tool, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can show them how hospital indemnity kind of fills those gaps in their coverage with the numbers. It's super easy. We actually had our rep from GTL show us in a meeting one time of how easy it was, and everyone was like, oh, that's it. He's like, that's literally it. So it's super easy, super user friendly. You can show your clients right there in front of them. This is the difference that this can make in your coverage. So
yeah, you might have seen it on like a CSG quote engine before, which is the fill the gaps tool.
Yes, fill the gaps tool.
GTL built that into their platform as well. Just makes it that when you fill the gaps, it's going to fill all the gaps. So it's all going to be taken care of, and then you can eliminate down to get to more of a premium if they want. But it will fill the gaps perfectly for you based off of their plan, so you can see side by side how those coverages are. And that is another reason why I love GTL. The application process is easy. They have paper apps. If you're still in that camp, don't worry, they've got you taken care of. $20 to $50 is going to get you great coverage. It's pretty standard. I was say some of these it'll be a little bit cheaper, more expensive, however it might go, but very similar.
Short duration versus observation status. What's the difference?
Not much. Okay, so
good question.
Yeah, for sure. Short duration is what GTL kind of coined it as. Observation care is what everyone's kind of used to seeing, because the observation is just you're there for a short amount of time. GTL just kind of explained it the way that we would explain what observation care is to a client.
Yes, exactly. So really, to answer your question, there is no difference. It's just kind of GTL's version of.
Yeah, it's just wording.
Wording.
If you're explaining what observation care is to someone, you say, well, that's where you're there for a short amount of time and you're not really admitted to the hospital, but you might have to stay there for 5-10 hours
kind
or
of limbo.
Stay in there for a full day, but you're not really admitted to the hospital. Because you might personally feel like I'm in the hospital, I'm staying overnight, but you might be in observation care. It comes down more to the coding, and you can see where this gets confusing to a client.
Yes, exactly.
But that is about all I've got on GTL. Let me think if there's anything last minute I want to add on there, and I don't think so. No.
Nope.
GTL is great, been around a while, very reliable on paying claims.
And there is a brochure walkthrough video on SMSU, Senior Marketing Specialist University.
Can't like and subscribe that, but
yeah, I can't like and subscribe that, but you can just view the content.
You should. Okay, let's get into the big brand name here, being Aetna. I'll start this one off by talking about the e-app because that's literally my favorite point behind this. Is the e-application process is so simple with Aetna. It lists out everything. Here's all the different plan options they have. You add it to the cart, you're good to go. The quoting process, the enrollment process is so smooth and easy with Aetna. That's why Aetna TPMOs for other companies is because our third party TPA.
Third party.
Whatever it is. Few words too trick.
Few words too trick.
They help out other carriers because they've got the system down. They understand it. It works great for their clients or their agents. Agents love it. So definitely something to make note of from the rip with this one. Issue ages, this goes down all the way to 18 to 89. So again, talking about your ACA folks, they might benefit from this. If we're looking at kids down at age 18, they're probably still on their family's plan, but their family could be on an ACA plan. So definitely check that out with them. Those rates are going to be really nice and affordable there. Let me see here. I got a question.
Client thinks they have observation status and was in hospital for almost 3 days, question mark?
I would be interested to see what's going on with that.
Yeah, that is
I can't truly answer that right this second, but it could be an issue with the coding. It could be that they were in observation care for a while. I forgot there's some limit on how long they can keep you in observation care, and I believe that limit has helped out with situations like this. That is totally possible and just not fun.
Give us a call.
Yeah. Something they're probably gonna have to call the hospital and talk to them about the billing on that and see what's going on and then refer back to you. But again, that's a really good phone call for afterwards. So Aetna just made a change here on the 15th about this guaranteed issue window. Previously, hadn't been one of our top recommendations purely because it didn't have one. If you don't have a guaranteed issue window and you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot with the hospital indemnity, Aetna got our notes, got probably everyone's notes out there that said, hey, just let me get people on this plan guaranteed issue and I'd write more of it. So 64.5 to 67. Love that. Just getting more people access to these plans with an easy level of entry. This plan is a bit less customizable. Aetna likes to keep most of their plans with rider options, but very limited on the customization aspect. It helps their process be a lot smoother. It's just the simplicity of their e-app. It's the simplicity of their plans. They don't want to overcomplicate anything, but it does leave less room for customization. So 3 to 10 days, you'll notice they don't have the 1-day option, but 3 to 10 or 20. 20 is, I forget where the application of the 20 is. I want to say it is more so for a different style plan, like a pay per service. It's like, what? Why are you going to be in the hospital for 20 days? You could be.
You could be.
Benefit amounts up to $700 per day, increments of $10. Again, this is where they get a little more customizable because this is the part they feel they want to match up to the MA plan the best they can. Days wise, we know most of it's going to be 3 to 10. Benefit amounts, who knows? Carrier gets to decide that. So let's make it work for them. Short duration, this one is a bit different than GTL's, as if you're in that, they don't pay you out the full benefit amount, but they will pay you 50% of it, which we still like to see because someone's not going to be in that limbo if they're there for less than 24 hours and still get the benefit. Helps you as an agent not come off as the bad guy, even though we know we're not. I say we, I'm not an agent, but you know,
we're in this together.
We in the field know it's not your fault.
Right.
We hear you. We understand you. Angry client who got a bill for a few $100s is not going to understand when you said, if I go to the hospital, you said I was taken care of. Just something to talk through the clients with and know that they are going to get that payout. That is a slight con, but they do pay out something. So I wanted to make sure I highlighted that. Now their ER benefit is a little bit different as well. This is kind of the ER and ambulance together. So it's built in together. They offer you a payout if you go to the ER or have an ambulance trip. You'll notice I put outpatient therapy again on here. I love it. It just is more coverage for folks. This is something we get a lot of questions on, is who's going to pay for this therapy session, and most of the time it's going to fall on the client, but with a hospital indemnity plan, that client's getting paid if they need to go do that service. With it being an indemnity style thing as well, they're able to take it wherever they need to go, so they don't have to worry about that. You know, I had a friend who was a personal trainer and therapist when I was growing up. It was an older family friend. She would come take care of me. She didn't charge us anything, but we usually would buy her dinner or something like that. So like if you have a situation like that, you can go get this outpatient therapy. Say that, you know, she was a licensed therapist, so it was an option. I could have wrote her down, put her as that whole thing. Just has to be that licensed therapy session that you're going through to make sure these claims get paid. They're not going to pay Sadie to take care of my knee. They're like, what does Sadie know about knees?
Same.
You
can YouTube anything these days.
YouTube certified.
Yeah.
Now they have a cancer rider option as well. This one is a little bit tricky for me to get fully behind, because with Aetna's plan, depending on the type of coverage you want for a cancer plan, it could be cheaper to just do 2 separate plans. I say that purely because I've quoted this before, and it was cheaper for them to not do the rider, pick the same benefit amount on a cancer plan, and those 2 plans were cheaper than the Aetna cancer plan plus, or hospital indemnity plan plus the cancer rider. So
that's good to know.
Want to throw that out there because, again, with Aetna's quoting, it's very simple to add another product on there. Just make sure you're mindful of that, looking through those options. And personally, when I'm looking at the hospital indemnity with Aetna, I would just quote them to 2 separate products. Just a personal thing there.
Good to know.
Skilled nursing, yet again, going hand in hand, outpatient therapy. Let's get these seniors back to their quality of life. Let's make sure no matter what they are needing, that they're able to return back after a hospital stay, after some kind of surgery, whatever it might be, that they're needing more attention with skilled nursing or a therapy option.
Absolutely.
And like our buddy Brad was pointing out, the outpatient surgical, this one's on here because they don't have a ton of different rider options. However, they do pay out a pretty good amount for the outpatient surgery. So definitely something to look at with them. Again, with all of this, let's just fill those gaps. Let's fill it up however they like. And with Aetna, if you wrote them on an Aetna MA, they're already trusting that brand name. Here's an Aetna hospital indemnity as well.
Absolutely. Another good one that's just, you want to be writing hospital indemnity, but really the ease of doing it, the flow of doing it is what's stopping you. This is a great place to jump in. And we see that have a lot of success with a lot of our agents. Just if they're writing a lot of the product or, you know, the core product, and then they want to start offering something, if they just start, you know, offering something as simple as just the same carrier, it can get them from point A to point B a lot faster.
For sure. If you wrote a bunch of Aetna supplemental in the past, this one's going to be a breeze for you to add on as a new product line as you're getting familiar with it and trying to expand your offerings. And we could always pivot to other products if you're not loving it afterwards.
Absolutely. All righty, a couple questions here. Guaranteed issue with cancer rider. Do you benefit from no underwriting questions?
Not with these two. We'll talk about Medico or Wellabe here in a minute. They do. So most of these plans will have, so Aetna's, for example, I just know Aetna's because I looked at this app like yesterday. Questions 1 through 9 are for the hospital indemnity. They have other additional questions that are for the riders. So they'll say, if guaranteed issue, if you're 64.5 to 67, skip questions 1 through 9. And then the other questions will mention to you that these are only needed if adding insert rider.
Got it.
So question 10, I believe, is due about cancer or going into the cancer rider. So not with these ones. That's a really good point on Wellabe's that we'll talk about here in a second. But no, riders will typically have additional health questions that are necessary. The base hospital indemnity plan is the guaranteed issue part. It's a really good note. Thank you so much for making me point that out because I forgot.
Under these cancer riders, no smoker/smoker rates. Is this a cheaper way to go to get coverage for smokers?
That's a super good question.
Very good question.
I haven't played around with the quoting that much to tell you right off the rip. I know for like cancer insurance, some products will say they just ask if you're a smoker or not, but that doesn't affect the rates. Now others will ask you and it does affect the rates. I can't tell you well enough if this is a good way to go about that, but I'll tell you what, say he's writing it down, so I'm gonna check it out for you. Okay, so other selling points on Aetna, one contract, it's under the supplemental side of things. So as we know, Aetna Medicare Advantage, Aetna Supplemental are two separate contracts. It's built into the supplemental side. So you're getting access to their full suite of products, which when you quote, they're all right there for you. Big brand name, clients love it. They've had a good history, so we like them for reliability as well. So let's go on to.
You got the beep.
See, this is why I don't push the buttons. Now, Wellabe or Medico, whatever you want to call them, Wellabe. Is issue ages 18 to 85. We got that big window that we like. This is the reason that GTL pretty much had to go about changing their guaranteed issue window. Is Medico a couple years back switched their guaranteed issue window from not having one to a wide range of 64 to 70. Benefit amount, or the benefit days, benefit amounts, pretty standard, but list them out here. They don't have as many customizable options as well, but 3, 6 is a pretty good number. 3 just gets them taken care of, where you know, okay, here's the general kind of a few days in the hospital, I want to be covered. And you can make that benefit amount equal what the total of 5 days would be, or 4 days, whatever they might need coverage for. It's just you have to play around with the benefit amount versus the days. So all of these are kind of a sliding thing that you can make work however you need to. It's just which side's more customizable. Days 7 through 10, 21, or 31. So they've got a lot of different options here for you. The benefit amounts, 100 to 600. 600 is pretty much the cap we see most of the time as far as matching it up perfectly. Anything above that is typically icing on the cake, or to make up for not having as many days, but let's toss on an extra couple hundred in case it does extend to days 4 or 5, whatever it might be. Short duration on this one, they don't cover that 100% of the day in observation care up to 6 days a year. So they don't have the option for it, but they do cover it. Kind of a goofy situation there.
Weird wording on the brochure and stuff. Yeah.
So that's kind of a pain point we've seen in the past with Wellabe, or past that we saw with Medico. Haven't seen that same pain point now with it being Wellabe, is them paying out on specific claims. There has been issues with that in the past. I'll be honest with you, I haven't run into any of those issues since they've made these changes to their hospital indemnity plan. But that is one of the major pushbacks I get when I recommend Wellabe, is, well, I've had clients that had a stay and didn't get it paid out. Haven't had any of those issues. I believe they've gotten all those fixed internally of anything that's going on with that. Main reason in my head, this could be something that's, they deal with it differently internally, but on the application, they do have quite a few more questions underwriting wise than other carriers do. And as we know, those underwriting questions, you take what the client gives you and whatever they say, you mark it as true, or that's what that answer is. Now, we also know that might not always be the case. So if the answers weren't perfectly accurate on the underwriting questions, then that policy could be not in actual effect when it's time to make a claim, and you have a whole issue to deal with. But like I said, they have taken care of those issues, so I don't want to scare everybody away from it. I just want to address the elephant in the room here with them in the past. So I'll move right on to the ER benefit. They pay $150 if you have to go to the ER 4 times a year. Most of them will have a lifetime benefit as well. Don't believe Medico does, but they'll pay you out $150 if you have to go to the ER. So love to see that. Here is where we get a little unique with Medico having a roommate style household discount option on here as well. Wellabe is already one of the more affordable options in the market. Even if you match up the exact dollars of benefit amount, exact amount of days, you can see how these plans are all about the same. Medico's is already on the bottom end of the price point, and then you add on a roommate style 7% discount, makes it that much more affordable for a client. Another great point being another mental health coverage on here. Up to 7 days, pay you $175 a day. So yet again, let's just take care of people, make sure that they're able to do whatever they need to get their health right, be it physical or mental. Here is a great, also like little niche aspect of the product that a lot of them don't have, is the transportation and lodging. So most of the time you're on an MA plan, your hospital's pretty close because it's in network. But let's say you're needing to go to a different hospital, maybe a specialist, or your smaller hospital might not have, let's say, like a cardiologist or something in staff. They send you to the hospital down the road. If it's over 50 miles from your residence, they'll pay you $100 additional a day for up to 10 days to go stay at that hospital. I'm thinking of my family in Marshall. I forgot what doctor it was that they didn't have, that they sent them to another hospital, but they had to come here to Columbia to go see a doctor, and they ended up staying in the hospital here. That's over 50 miles, so they would have gotten an additional $100 a day. Love that. It's just letting people get the care that they need.
Yeah.
Wellabe embraced that and added an additional option onto here.
Absolutely.
That is very unique in the market. So if you're in an area where a lot of times you have to be sent to a hospital further away, keep Wellabe in mind.
Yeah.
Going into the riders, pretty standard options here. Ambulance rider being super affordable coverage. I think there's a slightly over $2 to add that on most plans, but slam dunk rider, look at that added on there. They don't have the customizable options of how much to pay out. I believe it's either $200 or $250 that they pay you out for an ambulance trip.
Awesome.
Their cancer plan is a nice one-time use plan that's added on there. Again, I'm just going to throw it out there. Think of it as 2 separate plans and not your standard run-of-the-mill. Let's add a few bucks on this plan. Let's get you some coverage. They have options to go pretty cheap. I believe they go all the way down to $1,000, but they're increments. So it's like $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, $10,000, something like that. Some pretty good coverage on there. I would encourage looking at that with your clients at every single appointment, and I'll shut up about that. Chiropractic. My back hurts right now. I need to go to the chiropractor. If your clients are in a similar boat, because I have the back of a senior, I would say look at this rider option. Pretty affordable to go to that. It will take care of the copay that you would need to pay your chiropractor to go. Again, let's just take care of people, give them a couple bucks to pay out 25. Most people use that benefit quite a bit. So definitely something to check out with your clients. Ask them if they have a chiropractor they go to or have ever been interested in seeing a chiropractor. Because I know for quite a while, I skipped down going to the chiropractor, just didn't want them doing all that. And then now my favorite thing in the world is when they do the neck cracky thing.
It's the best.
Oh, it's scary, but it feels real good. And skilled nursing, I've harped on skilled nursing a lot, but it's really important making sure that people have that option on there. It's another one of those big ones on some of your benefits that freaks people out.
Yeah.
They might not think about it unless they've had somebody go through that or have watched somebody go through that. But it is something that is a pain point of Medicare Advantage plans. And especially now, this is more of a general statement, not just Medico, but with the rising cost of Part D, people are looking at their Med Sup clients and saying, well, they're paying X amount of dollars for their Med Sup. Now their PDP is creeping up there. If we switch them from this amount of premium, Med Sup PDP, to an MA plan that costs $0 per month, but they have these out-of-pocket risks, and that's what's kept them off of that. Looking at with those clients, they're used to paying hundreds of dollars a month. Now you're saying, well, I can build something that's a little bit more similar to your Medicare supplement plan that you had. We will have to worry about doctors, networks, everything like that, obviously, but I can start taking care of these different pain points that you have, and we can kind of go through these list of benefits and see what we're needing to take care of.
Absolutely. Great point.
It's a great way to look at your Med Sup clients moving to MA, because a lot of people do that switch. It's one of the more popular options to switch over, but now it's going to be a little bit more prevalent in your worlds, I feel. The Part D premiums this year, next year, probably going up, up, up. So keep that in the back of your mind if you're not already offering hospital indemnity. It's a good way to make them very, very, very similar.
Absolutely.
Medico's app, love it. Super simple. You can walk through this app in less than 10 minutes on your first try. I don't want to guarantee it, but I guarantee it. If you have any trouble with that, again, Agent Resources, myself, the team out here, we'll be able to help walk you through that process. They have made it a lot more accessible. You can do it on your browser. You don't have to have the app like you used to. You're able to do it on the browser. They've got a phone app. However, no paper applications. E-app only. So keep that in mind. If you like to do it on paper, Wellabe's not going to be a fit for you, but that's why we got lots of options.
Yeah,
that's the best part about being independent. You get to do whatever you want.
Whatever you want.
All right, let's go to the next one here. I'll fly through Heartland pretty quick. I've kept you guys for quite a while. Heartland is a great company. We've worked with them for years and years and years. They are ones that actually brought this up to me, talking about ACA plans. I was talking with their vice president of sales, Brandon, great dude. 18 to 85, they'll be their issue ages. And he was the one that let me know a big bulk of the hospital indemnity plans that they see is their ACA side. A lot of ACA agents love them. We'll jump to these benefits in a second. Heartland is a little higher on the premium side. They do pay a little higher commissions as well. That is one thing to consider with them. We can get into specifics with that. When I say the premiums are higher, I'm talking instead of $30, it might be $34 for the same plan with like versus GTL.
Yeah.
So not necessarily an absolute deal breaker, but is something to consider. Like I said, I just want to be as open and honest about all of these and talk about the pros, talk about the cons, because we all know it's not all sunshines and roses with every carrier always.
Exactly.
But they have a lot of great benefits. This plan is super similar to GTL. Benefit amounts are very customizable. Benefit days, 3 through 10, 15, 20, 31, $1,000 to $20,000 on the benefit side of things. They are increments of 1,000, so slightly less customizable. But Oh, 1,000. I think that's probably 100.
Probably so.
I said 1,000. I was like, oh wait, that's a lot higher.
Yeah.
But we'll take care of
We'll
that.
take care of that.
So 100 to $20,000. That makes sense. Because on the higher end, people do like to have the option to go real high. It might be 2,000. Well, I'm sorry, we'll get that fixed. Short duration, again, none will cover 100% of the days in observation, but up to 3 days a year. So another weird wording on this brochure. This is one that you'll want to dive into more with our agent resources team, and I can fully explain and show you their wording, and we can talk to the carrier specifically. If you have any problems with the wording and just want to fully understand, please reach out to me. Let's dive into that. ER benefit, $150 up to 4 times a year. Should take care of them once a quarter if they need to go to the ER and get friendly with them. Now the household discount is option on here as well, which can bring that premium back down a bit to a more average level. 7% roommate style, love it. I had a question here.
Had knee replacement surgery earlier this year, spent overnight in the hospital. They denied my claim.
Yeah, so depending on the carrier on there, that could be how the hospital coded that. Again, those situations get very specific of what they were doing. If you're on a GTL plan, something like that, and they denied that claim, it could be how it was coded or what they wanted to do with that. That is something that we can look at with you as the agent resources team, see exactly why it wasn't covered or if it should have been covered. So another great reason to utilize us, Howie. Let's talk through that one. Jumping into the riders, again, super similar: ambulance, cancer, outpatient surgical, and skilled nursing. Those are going to be the major rider options added on here. And a lot of the times, people write a hospital indemnity plan with 1, maybe 2 riders. That's about it. We have all these customizable options, but the massive majority of them maybe have a cancer rider, ambulance rider. That's going to be the 2 kind of staples in the rider world for the rider options on here. And he said it was with the Heartland policy. Okay, let's talk about that. Let's dive into it. Heartland, great. ACA clients, check them out. 18 to 85, we got a big window. We got a household discount, and they pay you a little slightly higher commissions than the rest of the field. So depending on where your needs are, that's what we want to make sure you're getting taken care of. So that goes over kind of our base 4 as of today. And I say as of today because we got some honorable mentions here. United Healthcare being one of the top honorable mentions. That's literally only not a main recommendation because we have very little information on it so far. It is a contract that we're going to have. I don't believe it's on the old senior contract. It's with one of their other ones because UHC has a few different ones. So it is a plan that we're going to be able to help support you with and offer. Here's the favorite part that I wrote down on my hand because I do notes on my hand. UHC, their guaranteed issue window is 60 to 74. 60 to 74. Huge GI window. Absolutely love that. The rates that I've seen on it are very comparable still, even with this large GI window. And, actuarial wise, these are plans that they want people to be able to have and make the claims on. But we know that a lot of times, if they're not going to the hospital, they're just protecting themselves, and that's what the insurance world is for. You have car insurance, and you might not get in car wrecks every day, but you take care of it. So if you do have that expense come out, you're protected. United Healthcare, obviously one of the big mega giants in the Medicare world, the insurance world altogether. So I love to see them hopping into the hospital indemnity world.
Absolutely.
Huge opportunity with that, with 60 to 74 being a guaranteed issue window. I have nothing to tell you about commissions. I have nothing to tell you about where it's available. I don't have much, but it's
when will it be available?
It's supposed to be available 10/1. So I should be getting information. I wouldn't be shocked if it's in here in the next couple of weeks, but 10/1 is the date that we were told that this is supposed to be launching.
Awesome.
So talk to us here, talk to the outreach team. Let's see about how we can make sure that you have that contract in place. So when this becomes available, that you're able to start offering that. So love that. That's the main reason I want to talk about honorable mentions. However, Bankers Fidelity and Cigna are a couple carriers that we do recommend for their ancillary products, specifically cancer insurance, and they do have options to be able to write their clients on a hospital indemnity plan as well. Very average, especially in comparison to these. Nothing super that sets them apart or makes them fall way behind. It's just, if I said 8 carriers are our recommendations, you'd be like, okay, Clayton, but which ones do you actually recommend?
Right.
So I wanted to boil it down a little bit and say, okay, well, if we're looking at these, they have it on there. If this is what you've got, this is better than nothing. Let's do it. I wouldn't even put them on honorable mentions if they weren't good plans, because they are great plans as well. But that's about all I've got for you there on the carrier side of things. Just a few things to remember when offering hospital indemnity, and we've kind of talked through these things as a whole here, but wanted to kind of wrap it up in a pretty little bow for you. Again, these are excellent pairings with the Medicare Advantage. Also look at, if you're in the ACA world, any of those clients on those plans could be an interesting option for them. Can be useful for MedSup if that's an extra area of concern, if they want to just be taken care of, if they're still needing extra people to take off work, if they were to have to go to the hospital. So I think most of the time with the Medicare supplement, it's maybe a older spouse and a younger spouse that's not on Medicare. If I'm going to have to go to the hospital, I'm going to want my spouse there. I might take a hospital indemnity plan to say, like, all right, just in case I go to the hospital, I want to be able to pay her $100 or pay him $100 to come with me.
Sure.
Feel free to take that day off. Now, this is something we've talked about a lot on other webinars. Of the scope of appointment and summary benefits are amazing selling tools. I'll let you talk about this a little bit, because I talk a lot.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I'm just sitting here like,
Yeah, I talk a lot. I'm aware.
Good stuff. Nothing bad. Scope of appointments. A lot of times they are something that people see as a wall between you and the client. And in a sense, I suppose that they are. But from another perspective, they're an incredible selling tool. They are something that you put in front of your client and you say, hey, you're giving me permission to do this. And by the way, if it's on here, CMS, aka the government, is saying maybe you should talk about this.
Right.
So it's an excellent selling tool. It's a great way if you're like, oh, I don't know how to bring up hospital indemnity. Man, if they're signing that scope of appointment, you have to kind of discuss it anyway. So use scope of appointments as an advantage and think of them as a selling tool, because they really can be.
Yeah, and I think something that's mainly important for me as I leave you guys in this webinar today would be, if you're offering Medicare Advantage, at least know of one hospital indemnity carrier that you have in your back pocket. If they check that scope of appointment, you don't want to just ignore that concern, because they checked it on there and said, I want to talk about this. What is this? So make sure you have one. There's lots of options as we see out there. We can talk through about which specific one will make sense for you, or if you want to go through your contracts and just say, okay, I have one, correct? We can look at that for you as well. Summary benefits, I harped on this quite a bit, but going through line by line, you're able to match it up with the hospital indemnity plan. So any of those concerns that you see clients kind of raising an eyebrow out when you're going through the summary of benefits, specifically the hospital stay, you can say, it looks like you're going to pay $300 a day if you go to the hospital for days 1 through 6. I do have a product that can help take care of that as well. Let's circle back, or remind me to circle back on that. This is another product that we say, hey, if you're selling it during AEP, fantastic. You've got the time to do it. Go ahead and offer it there. But if you're not selling it during AEP because time is a concern, you're seeing lots of clients, you want to make sure you see everybody you possibly can, it's a great option to follow up either later in December or the start of Q1. This gives you an option to make sure that you're taking care of people at the beginning of AEP and they're still on their books by the end of AEP, because we say that all the time, but the last app wins during AEP. So it's a great option to say, hey, remember we talked about the hospital's stay and that copay being a concern for you? I want to make sure that we get you on one of those hospital indemnity plans, or we talk through it.
Absolutely.
And that can make sure that you're saving clients who might not have known they switched or said, well, I talked to somebody, and that's when you can kind of start doing more digging and figuring out if you need to go fix something before the end of AEP.
It's also a great time during Q1 to talk about this one. You're setting those follow-up appointments like we kind of just said, but then also OEP as well.
Yep.
OEP is an opportunity where maybe they can still get switched by another agent or something like that, checking in and following up and making sure that if they did get switched during OEP, then you're able to keep them on the books with some sort of policy. So that way you're able to talk to them throughout the year and in next AEP as well. So it can also be using hospital indemnity can also be a way to help kind of keep your clients on the books through OEP as well.
I love that point because we all know that we can't really cold call or do anything with Medicare Advantage unless they're a current client of you, because then it's not really a cold call.
Right.
If they have a product with you, that's a great way. So let's say, like she was talking about, OEP comes around, they get switched on a plan. Okay, that it is what it is. It's already done. Let's get you on a plan that I can make sure I'm taking care of that new plan with you and going through, because you guys made a choice. It was switched. Who knows if it was the right switch?
Right.
But you can help still take care of them.
Absolutely.
Leaves them on the books so you can talk to them next AEP. The other option is you have somebody that's coming to you with an MA plan already from maybe another agent. You've got your scope, you've done all the right things, and you start going through and saying, like, you don't need me. You've
Right.
got the right plan. You've got the best fit for you. I don't want to switch you just to be switching you. However, something I am recommending to my clients on that plan, hospital indemnity, opens the door for you to still retain, and you took time out of your day to do that. You can still kind of get that commission, that payout for helping them out during AEP.
Absolutely.
The last point I'll make on this is a way to get paid during AEP. We all know those big checks hit in January and February, and we love to see it. However, we also want to make sure that we're getting some more income throughout the year outside of your just renewals. So another additional way to make some more income for your business.
100%. All righty,
that's
you
all
guys.
we got for today.
Yes, I think we did
Just
it
under
here.
an hour. Woo.
Yes, woo. Pretty good for us. Pretty good for us. Guys, if you have any questions, go ahead and throw them in the questionnaire box here. Otherwise, we will go ahead and wrap this up. If you have any questions and you want to talk to us about it, if we said, hey, let's have a conversation about that afterwards, if you just have any later, please call this number at 800-689-2800. That is our number. We would love to talk to you about these extra things, go more in depth with a carrier or whatever you may want. smsteam.net, that is our website. Feel free to check that out. We have lots of products and stuff like that on there as well, so you can check through the brochures and whatnot of the carriers that we just talked about on there, as well as we have under our services page, we have a whole kind of page giving you some hospital indemnity resources as well. And then sms-university.com, that is our senior marketing specialist university page. We have lots of training content. We are kind of going through a phase of updating a lot of that stuff right now, but lots of good stuff on that hospital indemnity plan page. Feel free to check that out. You have video walkthroughs of just different products that we like, and especially that GTL one is on there. So yeah, feel free to check that out. But Clayton, it doesn't look like we have any more questions.
Okay, definitely check out that email. It's coming afterwards. A lot of great resources we'll send there, those couple links as well. But give us a holler anytime. If you've got specific questions on claims that weren't paid out, if you've got specific questions of just concerns that you might have with one of these plans, please talk to us, either myself, someone on Agent Resources, or if it's a new contract you need, someone on our outreach team can help explain these different areas of coverage for you.
Absolutely. All righty, guys. Well, we will let you get back to your day. Thank you so much for joining us for a little bit to talk about hospital indemnity plans. But yes, thank you again. Thanks, Clayton.
Thank you, guys.